Hi everyone, Rosemary from Rosemary Astrology. In this video, I wanted to talk about the lunar eclipse taking place on the 17th of September. It's happening in Pisces. Maybe you've been hearing the terms supermoon, lunar eclipse, supermoon, full moon, lunar eclipse. The title can get very, very long. I just wanted to talk briefly about what it means when we say an eclipse, when we say a supermoon. We'll talk about what the astrology is for all of us. It's happening in Pisces in the very secretive 12th house, and an eclipse to begin with is something happening in shadow or something hidden or something we don't see. And then quickly I'll go through the sign by sign. So of course, a full moon is when the sun and the moon sit opposite each other. The sun, of course, is going to be in Virgo, the opposite sign to Pisces. This is the chart on the 17th of September, by the way. So let me just start with the details. This lunar eclipse, of course, is also a full moon. It is happening on the 17th of September at 10:34 p.m. Remember, I'm always in Eastern time, and it's at 25 degrees of Pisces. Now we say a supermoon because the moon appears a little bit bigger. Apparently it's even hard to see the difference with the naked eye, but it does appear a little bit bigger. We say it's a supermoon, meaning it's the closest that it comes to Earth in its elliptical orbit. There have been 4 supermoons, or there will be 4 supermoons. The first one was August 19th, this one of September 17th, one on October 17th, and one on November 15th. Eclipses usually happen in the spring and fall and come in pairs, a lunar and a solar. An eclipse is a play between the Earth and the moon. They're getting in between the sun and one another and casting shadow. So in this case, the Earth is going to come between the sun and the moon and cast its shadow on the moon, giving us an eclipse of the moon. Or if the moon gets between the Earth and the sun, then the moon casts its shadow on Earth. And of course, the sun is involved, but the sun never has shadow cast on it. The sun never casts shadow. The same thing in astrology, right? The sun always shines. So sometimes I talk about the good side and the bad side of a planet, but with the sun, it's just energy, light, life force, vitality. The sun just never ever changes. It's a constant. It's a constant in our lives. It's a constant in astrology as well. Now, eclipses in astrology are powerful change elements happening on a full moon, because there can be a new moon eclipse, which is of course also a solar eclipse. But happening on a full moon, it marks an ending, a conclusion, or a culmination of some sort, like all full moons, but in this case, even more powerful because it's an eclipse. It's also happening in shadow. So something or someone is being eclipsed out, but we don't see it yet, or we don't realize it yet. I was saying in the September astrology for each sign, it's like the beginning of the end, and we're going to look back and say, oh yeah, that's when that started to happen. That's when the seeds were sown, or the wheels were set in motion, and all that began. But it was so hidden, or usually there's something else going on in the foreground. So everybody's attention was distracted by that, but actually that was taking place in the background. We always say avoid starting something on any eclipse, avoid making a decision or a choice. It can even be something that's happening in secret. And remember, I said Pisces in the 12th house is related to what is secretive, regardless of sign or house. It can be something also taking place in secret, so something that is voluntarily hidden. So you are in the dark, or you are being kept in the shadows. It can be happening directly to you, or it can be happening, especially depending on house, and we'll talk about that a little bit further on. It can be happening to someone close to you, and it affects you. Either way, remember, eclipses, again, are powerful change elements. They bring a change that is permanent. Sometimes we use the words events that are fated. Again, the beginning of the end in terms of a closure or a conclusion. Sometimes we even say a fall from grace. So when we think back, we'll say, oh yeah, that's when everything started to go downhill, right? Or that's when things really started to fall apart, type of thing. The other thing I want to touch briefly on is people often wonder, well, when are we going to know, right? If it's happening in the dark and we're not aware of it, when are we going to know? Sometimes we say, look back 1 month to the previous full moon for clues. Sometimes look ahead or wait until the next full moon. The other interesting thing to look for is when another planet, usually what I call one of the heavy hitters, so Saturn or Jupiter, the interpersonal planets, or the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto, run over the same degree regardless of sign. Even more so when several do. Now, the next to do that is going to be Uranus. Uranus went retrograde on September 2nd and will run over the 25-degree mark of Taurus from exactly October 30th to November 22nd, but take for granted it's all of October and November, even into the first 3 weeks of December, will either be exactly on that 25-degree mark or 1 degree away. When Uranus does do that in October, November, December, it's only going to be 4 degrees away from the Pluto-Mars opposition. I just put up a video on I keep calling it Pluto's last stand in Capricorn. Last time Pluto will be there for 248 years, and there will be, of course, a Pluto-Mars opposition at the time of the US elections, exact on the 4th, so the day before the US elections. Neptune isn't far away from the mix at 28 degrees. So an eclipse in Pisces, of course, Pisces is about unity, right? Pisces is the collective. It's about everything or all of us being the same. Boundaries dissolve in Pisces. People who are Pisces, who have a lot of Pisces energy, have several planets in Pisces, often have trouble distinguishing between where they end and others begin. They can pick up, Pisces being a water sign, on others' emotions very easily, or read the energy in a room very, very easily. It's a great advantage. It also gives them a very creative side. Pisces is very, very creative because of that ability to tap into other worlds. When we talk about Pisces, ruled by Neptune. The modern ruler is Neptune, who is the god of the sea. The traditional ruler is Jupiter. There's that idea of other worlds that we can tap into, that we visit, that we go to. We know they exist, but we're not always in them. So we think of the subconscious. We think of the oceans, if you want a really, really good analogy, especially fitting, as I said, because Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. But, a dream world, altered states, the meditation mind, when we go into an alpha state or even a delta state, it's where everything becomes one. I keep having this, hippie image, right? I'm thinking of Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. It's like, we're all one man, but Pisces doesn't see that. That's an awful impression, but Pisces doesn't see that distinction. So that idea that, we're all one, everything is one, the focus is on the sameness. There's no distinction between self and others. Boundaries fall. Neptune is a great, great dissolver of boundaries. The 12th house, well done, is wonderful spirituality, tapping into our spiritual self, tapping into our creative self, our inspirational self, whatever gives us creativity, not just in terms of going out and painting or writing music, but, solving our problems, or just a creative approach, more insight into what is going on, that idea of an inner world, more in touch with self. The bad side of the 12th house, though, is secrets, secret societies. It's the house of hidden enemies. So you can think people not working in our best interest, as much as the 6th house is people not working on our best interest that we are aware of. It's the collective subconscious, or the collective, the idea of collective consciousness. It can be also because of the secretiveness, clandestine affairs, secret dealings. It can also have to do with fear or restrictions or punishment. Often I say, when I do the monthly astrology, 12th house energy is where we go to be alone, and it's things we don't share with others. So what we're fearful of, what we're ashamed of, what we're fearful that others will find out about, that we really, really don't want to share, that's very, very personal. Saturn actually finds his joy in the 12th house because it's so completely isolated in that sense that, it's a world we don't share with others, or it is like that own personal world, or that idea of, again, on the collective level, of collective subconscious, but that is cut off from, the everyday world. So collectively, it's a hidden inner world. It's something that is cut off, that can be isolated, and that can be secret. Of course, across the 6th house is the house of work and service. It's also our physical health, our habits, our lifestyle. And when I said the two signs were important, because there's an idea with the eclipse and something happening in shadow of something not lining up. There's a split of some sort of where we are out working, where we're of service to others, what our jobs are, whether they are paid or not. So remember, it can be volunteer work, it can be your academic job. In terms of school work, if you're a full-time student, or even if you're part-time, your school work is also considered a job in terms of the sixth house. It's other responsibilities and duties you have, even if they're not paid. So there's like an imbalance between that. I always say where we're out in the world, doing our jobs, being of service to others, and here, something in secret, isolated, having to do only with the collective subconscious. I meditated on this quite a while. It helps me a lot to write things out. So I was writing this out and I was looking at the chart thinking, how could this fit together? I think it could be collectively something we're being told to do as a duty, but accompanied with a fear or an element of restriction, right? Which is very, very much 12th house. The feeling that, maybe there is something happening in secret, going on in shadow that we don't know about, but it is also at the same time voiding whatever we're being told here. So there's an idea of this is your duty, this is your job, this is what you have to do, this is important to do because it's also often in service to others. So, think of others as well, do this job or duty, but there's something happening here that would actually void that, or that is, or that this is a distraction from the real issue. That's the energy I'm getting meditating on this. I don't know how it could actually translate into what is actually going on. And I always say this, I don't often follow the news. And of course, there's many, many things happening in many, many places all over the world. But you get that idea of a front story of what we're supposed to be doing and actually, it being a distraction from something else that is going on in a more secretive way. And I spoke about Neptune not being very far off. Neptune on his good side is spirituality, is compassion, but the downside can be illusion, confusion, and even deception as well. The good side of this, especially, if we remember not to make any decisions or choices, and remember, there's often a front story and a back story with an eclipse. The good side of this, with this energy, is our collective consciousness elevating. But again, there's something secretive or there's information missing. So it's as if that is being hampered, or there's dealings in the dark going on. So how is this going to translate? If something comes up, I'll probably come back here and make another video. But that was the energy I was getting for the collective as I was meditating on this. Just before I wrap this up, guys, let me briefly go through the house by house or the sign by sign. And remember, this could apply to you or it could apply to someone designated by this house. So of course, Pisces, this is your first house, everything to do with your image, your appearance, your self-identity, your online profile. If you have an online brand, it's your reputation as well. So something is hidden, something is eclipsed out. Maybe something is coming to an end that you're not really aware of, but it is starting already. So again, that idea of the beginning and the end. If you're Aquarius, this is your second house. So your money, your wealth, your possessions, your business, property, whatever belongs to you. It also has to do with charity as well. Again, something could be eclipsed out. I don't want to scare you. I don't want to say source of income is going to be eclipsed out, but it could be something that is slowly drying up, something you might be moving away from eventually. But just remember, again, don't make choices or decisions because maybe what is going on isn't really the actual story. If you are a Capricorn, this is your third house of your communication. So whether online, on the internet, your media communications, whether you express yourself in something like a podcast, a blog, if you are in video, in film, you have a podcast. Did I already say that? It's just all our words, our ideas. It's even our inner dialogue as well. So again, something is going on there that you're not really seeing. Could be a story going on there as well that again, is happening and you're not really aware of. And do be aware again of, the front story, especially in something like the third house that has to do with all our communications. And of course, by the same token, deals with our thought process and deals with the information we're sorting through. If you are Sagittarius, this is in your fourth house of home and family. So again, could affect you, could affect a family member as well. This also, of course, has to do with the place you live, like your house, your condo, your flat. It even has to do with your town, your region, your homeland as well. Scorpio, this is happening in your fifth house. This has everything to do with romance, sex, lovers, everything to do with children as well, be they your children or someone else's children you are close to. So I often say stepchildren, godchildren, grandchildren. It can even be adult children that are still your children, or someone else's children. So that younger generation, even if they're not toddlers or teenagers, they're adults now. So remember, that could be something happening to them that is also going to affect you, or to a romantic partner that is also going to affect you. Remember, the fifth house is also all our creativity as well. And Pisces is a sign that is very, very creative. So could it be, something in terms of your creativity, maybe that is shifting or ending, or maybe something is coming up, but that's not the real story and something else is going on in the background. But again, remember, this does affect other people in your life, and this eclipse could be affecting them, and through them, that is how it is going to impact you. If you are a Libra, this, of course, has everything to do with, this is your sixth house, Libra. So everything to do, when I talk about the sixth house, what I was saying for the collective, your physical health, your lifestyle, your workload, it is your body, it is daily routines, exercise as well, all that aspect. Maybe something is going on there, but again, you're not really seeing it. It's happening in shadow. So avoid making any big decisions around the 17th. Even, and this is applicable to all of us, give yourself easily several days on either side. Virgo, this is the seventh house of committed partnership. So again, it could be affecting a partner, be it a business partner or marriage partner. It's also past partners, so our exes. It could also be, as much as this applies to you, a rival or someone you're in competition with. Even, a very, very close friend or the idea of a mentor could be affected. And again, that is how this eclipse is going to affect you. Leo, this is all the wealth you share with others. So any property, any business, any shares, again, monies, something that you share with a partner, something that is loaned, financing of some sort, an inheritance. It can even be a business partner's wealth as well. So remember, it could be definitely affecting them in terms of their cash flow or what they own. And of course, it is going to have repercussions on you. Cancer, this is your ninth house, everything that is foreign to you. So foreigners, foreign countries, higher education. It is also religions, the internet, mass media, communications, and publishing. Something is possibly coming to an end there. There might be a story going on there. Definitely look, I would say, especially for you, Cancer, definitely look for the story. Remember, this is mass media and publishing. So what story are you getting, or what information are you getting? It's also the house of propaganda and dogma as well. So what are you being told, or perhaps what seems to be happening in terms of higher education or travel? But remember, that could be the front story, and there's something going on more in the shadows that is coming to an end. Gemini, this is your 10th house of success. We often talk about career success, but it has to do with awards, achievements, your status. It could have to do, again, if this applies to you in terms of career success, your industry, your profession as well. Something could be ending there. Maybe, again, there's definitely the idea of possibly of a front story, but something else is going on in the back. Again, do avoid making decisions or choices or even taking sides. Remember, the 10th at Gemini is also people in authority over us. So it could be affecting someone there, a boss, a higher up, maybe eventually you're going to see that person is going to leave the organization, and you're going to be able to look back to this time and say, oh yeah, that's when everything, began, but it will have an impact on you. It can also be parental authority as well. If you are Taurus, this is your 11th house. So social circle, groups you belong to, all that idea of networking. It can be something like a sports team. It can be something like a political party affiliation. Anything that has the word society or association is also in the 11th house. It's also our long-term goals as well. So somebody or someone in one of those groups may be eclipsed out, or may be in the process of being eclipsed out. And again, it is going to have an impact on you. For you, especially Taurus, avoid taking sides or making choices. If something comes up in your circle and you're being asked your opinion or where you stand on that, try to hold off, especially on the 17th, but really, several days before and after, if you can do so. And finally, Aries, this has to do with, of course, the 12th house for you, the house of secrets, of whatever is going on, but that is unseen. Again, we talk of unseen worlds. It can even be secret or unseen dealings or work. It has everything to do, with what is private to us. It is all those practices like meditation. It can be therapy. It can be counseling. It has very much to do with altered states. Again, as I said, other worlds. So especially for you, beware something that is going on in secret that you are not privy to, that is happening and that is going on in shadows, but is definitely marking the conclusion of something, or as I said, the beginning of the end of something. So everyone, that's my thoughts on this eclipse coming up on the 17th of September. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hope you enjoyed. Hope it was helpful. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.